All right, today we're going to dive into something really cool. It's a technology that's all about taking the immense power of artificial intelligence, pulling it down from the cloud, and putting it right onto your personal computer. It's called Foundry Local, and believe me, it's set to change how we all think about AI speed, privacy, and just getting things done.
You know the feeling, right? We've all been there. You ask your favorite AI a question, you hit send, and then you wait. You're just staring at that little spinning icon, knowing your request is traveling across the globe to some massive data center, getting processed, and then making the long journey back. That delay, that's one of the biggest headaches with cloud-based AI today.
So, that annoying delay? It actually has a name: high latency. It's simply the time it takes for your data to make that round trip to the cloud and back. For a quick question, it might just be a minor annoyance, but if you're building complex apps that need fast responses, it becomes a huge bottleneck.
And then there's the other big one, privacy. Think about it. Every single time you use a cloud AI, you're sending your stuff, your questions, maybe sensitive documents, your own code, over the public internet to a server owned by someone else. For personal or company secrets, that's a pretty significant risk to take.
And of course, there's the most basic limitation of them all. You have to be online. If you're on a flight, working from a remote spot, or your internet just decides to take a break, well, that incredibly powerful cloud AI is suddenly just a useless, disconnected box.
So, with all these limitations, what's the alternative? Well, that's exactly where Foundry Local steps into the spotlight. It's a solution designed from the ground up to fix these problems by doing one simple, powerful thing: moving the entire AI engine from the cloud directly onto your device.
And when you run AI locally, those problems we just talked about, they pretty much just disappear. That latency? Gone. You get results almost instantly. Worried about privacy? Well, your data literally never leaves your machine. And needing an internet connection? Nope, it works completely offline. Plus, you can end up saving a ton on cloud computing costs, and it's built to be flexible, running on anything from a regular laptop to a Powerhouse server.
Now, just a quick heads up here. The source material does point out that Foundry Local is in public preview right now. All that means is that it's an early release, and some things might change and evolve as it gets closer to a full launch. So, just keep that in mind.
So, how does this thing actually work? Let's pop the hood and take a look at the core components that make the Foundry Local engine tick. It's pretty fascinating.
Okay, at the very heart of everything is the Foundry Local Service. The best way to think about it is as the system's central nervous system. It's a little server running on your machine that provides a standard API that, and this is the key part, is compatible with OpenAI. This is huge because it means developers can use the same tools and code they already know. Next up is something called the ONNX Runtime. This part is like a universal translator for AI models. It takes these AI models, which are optimized into a special format called ONNX, and it figures out how to run them super efficiently on whatever hardware you've got, whether that's a standard CPU, a beefy graphics card, or even one of those new specialized NPUs.
And speaking of hardware, that brings us to the hardware abstraction layer. If the ONNX Runtime is the translator, think of this layer as a universal power adapter. It's the piece that lets Foundry Local plug into specific hardware from folks like NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, and Qualcomm, making sure you're squeezing every last drop of performance out of your machine.
So, where do all these models live once you have them? They go into the model cache. Seriously, just picture it as a bookshelf in your house for your AI models. Once you download a model, it sits right there on your device, ready to be pulled down and used in an instant. No need to download it over and over again. This whole setup creates a really simple, clean, 5-step life for every model. First, you download it from a catalog. Then you load it into your computer's memory to get it ready. After that, you can run it to perform your tasks. When you're finished, you unload it to free up those resources, and finally, if you don't need it anymore, you can delete it from your bookshelf to save space. Super straightforward. But before any of this magic can happen, the models have to be prepared. They get compiled into that special, super efficient ONNX format we mentioned earlier, and this is often done with a tool called Olive. This step is absolutely crucial for making sure they run as fast as possible on your local machine.
Okay, so now we get how the engine works. But how do you actually talk to it? How do you control this thing? Well, you've basically got 3 main ways to interact with it, depending on your style.
You've got options here. For those who love the terminal, there's a good old-fashioned command line interface for quick management. If you're a developer who wants to bake this into your own custom app, there are SDKs for that. And for anyone who loves a good visual interface, the AI Toolkit for VS Code gives you a complete dashboard right inside your code editor.
And really, it can be this simple. Using the command line, you can download and run an incredibly powerful model like Phi 3.5 Mini with just one single simple command. It makes trying out new models and just experimenting so fast.
And if you're using that AI toolkit in VS Code, the experience is even smoother. You can manage all your models, send prompts to them, and see the AI's answers in real time, all without ever leaving the place where you write your code. It even has tools to help you visualize how well your models are performing.
So let's zoom out. Let's look at the really big picture here. Why is this whole move towards on-device AI such a big deal? What does all this tech really mean for the future?
At the end of the day, Foundry Local and technologies like it aren't just about convenience. They represent a fundamental shift in our relationship with AI. We are moving away from being totally dependent on the cloud and into a future where our own devices, the ones right in front of us, are empowered with their own powerful, private, and efficient intelligence. It's about taking back control. This change just blows the doors wide open for a whole new generation of apps that are faster, way more secure, and can work literally anywhere. It puts an incredible amount of creative and analytical power directly into our hands. And that just leaves us with one final, very exciting question to ponder. When every single device has its own AI, what will you create?